Alone at midnight, the haunting truth behind the Ellison family's bizarre 16th birthday curse. The moon hung high over the small town of Maplewood, casting eerie shadows that twisted through the trees like ghostly fingers. Tonight, something was wrong. Midnight crept forward, and the Ellison home trembled with the weight of an ancient, unseen force. Every 16 years, the family was trapped in a web of strange events surrounding their birthdays, events no one could explain. Whispers of curses and tragedy hung thick in the air. Sarah Ellison stood at her bedroom window, heart racing. The wind howled outside, rattling the glass. It felt as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting. Her family had faced tragedy every birthday since her great-grandmother, Clara, had turned 16 in 1923. Mrs. Ellison used to say it was merely coincidence, but Sarah didn't believe that anymore. Strange occurrences followed them like a dark shadow. In 1952, her Uncle Jimmy had disappeared without a trace just hours after the party. In 1988, an Uncle's garage mysteriously exploded, sending flames shooting toward the sky. And last year, on her older brother's 16th birthday, a freak storm ripped through the neighborhood, uprooting trees and knocking power out for hours, but they felt the weight of something more, a presence they couldn't escape. As Sarah recalled these whispers of the past, a shiver ran down her spine. It was as if those family ghosts were watching from the dark corners of her room. The atmosphere felt charged. She glanced at the antique clock on her wall, its ticking loud enough to drown out the storm outside. Almost midnight suddenly, the floorboards creaked beneath her, drawing her attention. They sounded like footsteps, an echo of something long gone but not forgotten. She swallowed hard, the lump in her throat growing heavier. Was it just her imagination, or was something happening? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just then, a sharp knock at her door cut through her thoughts. Sarah? Her mother's voice called out, shaky and distant. Are you okay? It's almost midnight. The door swung open, revealing her mother's anxious eyes. Did you hear that noise? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Fear knotted in Sarah's stomach. It wasn't just the wind anymore, something was about to unravel. As the clock struck 12, a chilling silence enveloped the room. The air felt electric, the shadows more pronounced. Sarah heard a faint sound, like the soft cry of a child echoing through their old house. Was it really a child or simply a figment of their twisted legacy? She exchanged a glance with her mother, both of them frozen, 1,000 unspoken fears hanging in the air. The darkness seemed to twist and morph in response to their unasked questions. What waited for them in the night? Would the Ellison family's curse claim yet another victim? The air in the room felt thick, almost suffocating, as Sarah and her mother stood frozen. The soft cry echoed again, meandering through the hallways like a ghost weaving its way through time. It sent a chill racing down Sarah's spine, each nerve in her body prickling with unease. Mom, what is that? Sarah asked, her voice trembling more than she intended. Her mother's eyes widened, and she stepped back into the hallway, the thin veneer of her bravado crumbling. I don't know, she whispered, gripping the doorframe for support. We should stay together. As if the house itself had heard them, the floorboards creaked ominously again, louder this time. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and turning, as if clashing against the flickering light of the lone lamp. The old family photos hanging in the dim glow seemed to shift, the eyes in them glinting with untold secrets. Let's check it out, Sarah suggested, though a part of her screamed in protest. Her heart raced at the thought of moving into the unknown, yet curiosity outweighed fear. It might just be the storm. With a reluctant nod, her mother stepped beside her. Together, they crept out of the safety of Sarah's room, the hallway stretching before them like a dark, yawning maw. Each step felt heavy, wrapped in the shadows that absorbed the light around them. The sound of the soft cry led them down the stairs, each creak of the stairs echoing in the silence, making their hearts pound louder. They reached the bottom, where a draft swept through the open front door, flapping the curtains like phantom hands. Sarah shivered, clutching her mother's arm, both of them feeling the cold presence linger. In the dim light of the moon spilling through the doorway, they saw it. A figure stood by the old rocking chair, its form flickering like a flame. Sarah squinted, her heart pounding in her ears like a war drum. It was a child, small and pale, with hollow eyes staring into the depths of their souls. Who are you?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, filled with a mixture of terror and disbelief. The child tilted its head and smiled an unnerving, wide smile that felt cold enough to freeze the very air around them. "I'm waiting," the child whispered, a haunting echo in their minds. "I want to play." Mrs. Ellison echoed, a tremor in her voice. The creature moved its arms, beckoning them closer. "Come play before the clock strikes again," it lilted like a gentle song. "What clock?" Sarah could barely form the words, dread coiling in her gut. But as soon as she blinked, the child vanished, leaving nothing but a shiver of cold lingering in the air. Panic surged, and Sarah turned to her mother. "Did you see that? Did you hear what it said?" I don't know," her mother stammered, looking around as if expecting the child to reappear. "It can't be real. It's the curse. We have to get out of here." Suddenly, the old clock rang out, the sound loud and jarring, reverberating through the house like a warning. 123 "Sarah, we have to leave now," her mother cried, grabbing her hand as they raced toward the front door. But just as they reached the entrance, the door slammed shut on its own, sealing them inside. The laughter of the child echoed in the hall like a twisted melody, growing louder, mocking. The haunting presence had awakened once more, and the night was far from over. What exactly did it want, and what would happen when the clock struck again? As shock washed over them, a deeper dread settled in. They wouldn't know until it was far too late. The air thickened, tightening around Sarah and her mother like a noose. The clock's chimes rang hollow, each toll blending into the shrill laughter of the vanished child. Time felt distorted, a delay, a pause before chaos erupted. "Mom!" Sarah pulled at her mother's sleeve, the urgency clawing at her throat. "The back door. We can go through the kitchen." But her mother stood petrified, staring at the closed front door as if daring it to move. "What if that thing is still out there? What if it's waiting for us?" Fear clutched Sarah's heart, hard and cold. She scanned the dim hallway, shadows lurking in corners and crevices, teasing her imagination. "We can't just stand here. We have to do something." As if in response, the soft cry echoed again. It was closer this time, like a whispered taunt. "Please come play." The voice slithered through the air, twisting Sarah's stomach into knots. With resolve, Sarah tugged her mother towards the kitchen. They dashed through the darkened hallway, biting the tension clinging to the walls. Each step felt heavy, the floorboards creaking beneath their weight, as if they too were alive and aware of the mounting fear. "Mom, are you okay?" Sarah's voice was strained, panic creeping in. "Just keep moving," her mother managed, her breath shallow, eyes darting. They finally reached the kitchen, where a dim bulb flickered above, casting a sickly glow across the worn tiles. The back door creaked ominously in the wind, standing tall before them. Sarah's heart raced as hope sparked. Perhaps they could escape. She reached for the knob, but just as her fingers brushed against the cold metal, a reflection caught her eye. Something dark shifted just beyond the window, a shadow lurking, watching. "Mom, look!" Sarah pointed, and they both froze. Through the glass, the pale child reappeared, face pressed close, eyes wide and expectant. "Why are you hiding? It's time to play." Panic erupted, and Sarah swung the door open. The wind whipped through, gusting colder than before. "Run!" she shouted, but the ground outside felt distorted, the darkness swallowing the yard whole. Her mother hesitated, torn between fleeing and the fear of that beckoning smile. "Sarah, wait. We don't know what's out there." Before Sarah could respond, the laughter returned, a shrill cacophony resonating through the night. The shadows flickered, coiling around the child like smoke, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. "Come play before the clock strikes again." It was a chant now, an eerie sonnet of darkness rising in crescendo, wrapping tighter and tighter around them. "Mom! We can't stay here." Desperation shot through Sarah, who pushed her mother toward the door. With trembling hands, Mrs. Ellison crossed the threshold, forcing herself to follow Sarah into the stormy night. But just as they stepped outside, the front door slammed shut behind them, echoing like a fist against a wall. A soft laugh floated from the house, swirling around them. "You can't escape." The air thickened again, and a shadow loomed from the corner of Sarah's eye, slinking low and menacing. Time loomed over them like a predator. "Where do we go?" her mother cried, scanning the darkness surrounding them. The clock inside the house chimed 5, the sound monotonous yet powerful. Sarah felt the ground tremble beneath their feet. "We have to figure out what it wants. We can't just run." The shadows twisted around them, revealing the child once again, arms raised in invitation. "Play forever." The clock chimed 6, and a sense of dread coiled around Sarah's chest. What were they playing for? What if it was too late? A sudden crash broke the air and Sarah turned as the walls of the house trembled. The old family photos, distorted in the flickering shadows, seemed to scream their silent warning. As the clock tolled again, the child's laughter filled the air, a twisted melody outlining the steps they must now take. But what were those steps? The moment hung heavy, teetering between choices laden with dark consequences. The shadows danced around them, alive with an unsettling energy. Sarah clutched her mother's hand tighter, heart racing, as she scanned the yard. "We need to get to the neighbors," she whispered, urgency flooding her voice. "We can't leave the property," her mother insisted, panic flaring in her eyes. "What if it's waiting for us?" "Whatever that thing is," the child's voice echoed again, sultry and sweet, pulling at the edges of their sanity. "Why are you still standing there? Come play." A hint of disappointment mingled with the invitation, like a sinister show of childlike pouting. "Don't look at it," Sarah shouted, forcing her mother to turn away. They had to focus. Their escape lay not in facing that apparition but in outsmarting it. "Mom, we need a plan," Sarah said, swallowing hard as she fought against the creeping dread, a cold wave washing over her like a dark sea. "There has to be something we can use." "Something in the garage." The wind howled, whipping around them, as if the night itself resented their presence. Sarah glanced at the towering silhouette of the house behind them, its windows, dark eyes watching, judging. What secrets lay in its twisted heart? Would they find help or a deeper pit of despair? Holding tight to each other, they sprinted toward the garage. The metallic clink of tools echoed in the cavernous space as they stepped inside, the air thick with the smell of oil and rust. Sarah's eyes darted around, searching for anything that could help, something to fight back with. "Flashlight!" her mother yelled, grabbing a rusty toolbox. "We need to see what we're up against." With shaking hands, Sarah fumbled through the clutter, finally grasping a weathered flashlight. "I have it." "Now what?" The small beam cut through the dark, revealing an assortment of tools that couldn't have felt more useless in the grand scheme of things. "I don't know," Mrs. Ellison stammered, her motherly instincts battling the suffocating fear. "We need to buy some time, maybe find something to trap it." The clock inside the house chimed 7, reverberating in the garage with a deep, ghostly resonance. The child's laughter bubbled up, echoed from the shadows, sending chills running down their spines. Tick-tock. "It's fun time." Suddenly, Sarah's eyes landed on a heavy old lantern hanging near the back wall. It was their grandfather's rusty but formidable. She rushed over, her fingers brushing the surface, feeling its weight in her hands. Maybe this she started, but before she could finish, a loud bang echoed from outside. The front door had burst open, splintering hinges screaming as the pale child dashed out into the night, beaming with demented enthusiasm. Playtime. Oh, it's time to play. It sang in a sing-song voice, moving closer, shadows swirling around it like a dark halo. Get back! Sarah yelled, lifting the lantern as a makeshift weapon. Heat coursed through her veins, her fear fueling a desperate defiance. You're not taking us. The laughter ceased abruptly, replaced by a chilling silence that dripped thick with tension. The air crackled as the child stopped in its tracks, eyes narrowing, calculating. Then why did you come? It hissed with a smirk, a twisted smile stretching impossibly wide. In that moment, the realization hit Sarah like a punch. They had entered the game simply by stepping outside. What were the stakes? A game with rules set by something beyond their comprehension. Mom, we need to figure out what it wants, she rushed, holding the lantern aloft like a shield. But the child began to giggle, a sound that curled her stomach into knots. Play with me, or we'll play forever. Sarah felt the weight of its words settle over her. They were trapped in a nightmare of their own making. Mom, together, Sarah whispered, their lives hanging in the balance. And just as the clock told 8, the answer flickered to life in her mind, something buried deep in her family's past. But what if that revelation would cost them everything? The child began to advance, darkness trailing behind it like a storm front. Where can they turn now? The clock is still ticking. The child crept closer, its laughter like a shroud wrapping around Sarah and her mother. The air thickened with dread, pressing down on them. Sarah could hear her heartbeat in her ears, a frantic drum signaling the urgency of the moment. This was no ordinary game. They were caught in something twisted, something rooted deep in their family's secrets. Mom, what's the story about the lantern? She gasped, her voice trembling as she clutched the heavy object. I can't remember what Grandpa said, but it feels important. Mrs. Ellison hesitated, her expression clouded with fear and confusion. Sarah, listen to me. We don't have time for you have to remember. Sarah screamed, her mind racing. What if it has something to do with that thing? She nodded toward the advancing child, its feet gliding over the ground like it floated rather than ran. In those haunting eyes, she saw the promise of play mixed with the threat of something darker. Okay. Okay, her mother responded, trying to keep her composure. There was a story about an old curse, something that happened when family members turned 16. They would become trapped, forever drawn to this place. Trapped? Sarah felt her breath catch in her throat. What does that mean? The child's giggle was growing louder, echoing off the walls of the garage. The game never ends, sweet girl. I want to play forever. The lantern flickered in Sarah's hands, feeling almost alive. What if we can use it to break the curse? We have to try. She pressed the lantern closer, its surface glinting in the fading light. Mom, tell me more. What does it do? What did Grandpa do? Her mother looked desperate, her gaze still fixed on the child with its wicked smile. He said it can reveal the truth. It lights the way, but only if you're brave enough to face what's hidden. Please, Mom. We have to trust in the light, Sarah urged, her own voice steadier now. She swung the lantern back and forth, searching for the courage her mother had instilled in her over the years. As she did, the shadows around them moved, seemingly alive, recoiling from the illuminated glow. The child's expression shifted, surprise mingling with delight. Ooh! What is that? That's not fair. You can't bring the light. It screeched, faltering for a moment, as if the radiance threatened its very essence. Then it's working. Sarah shouted triumphantly. Mom, get ready. As darkness swirled, she felt a flicker of hope. But the child didn't retreat, instead transforming into a specter of fury. "You won't ruin my fun!" it shrieked, and the air around them chilled. They had to make a decision, all or nothing. "Together, on three!" Sarah exclaimed, gripping the lantern tightly, nails digging into the rough metal. 1, 2. The child lunged forward, and Sarah pressed the lantern's glass to her chest, ready to push back. 3. As if the world flipped on its head, a blinding light erupted from the lantern. It surged outwards, blazing through the darkness, illuminating the twisted vines of shadows that clawed at their feet. A scream, guttural and piercing, erupted from the child as it was momentarily engulfed by the light. "Make it go away! Make it stop!" it shrieked, flailing like a fish out of water. "Keep it lit! Don't let it go out!" Mrs. Ellison cried, adjusting her grip on an old wrench. To their horror, the ground shook beneath them, a warning rumble that promised something much worse than they could imagine. The shadows roared back, swirling around them, the walls of the garage trembling. "Do you want to play?" The child laughed, now contorted into something grotesque, just outside the reach of the light. The rage of the looming shadows grew heavier, pulling at their very wills, but they stood firm. The flickering flame seemed to pulse, a heartbeat, as they fought to maintain their grip on the light, but would that be enough? The game had just begun, and the stakes were higher than they'd ever anticipated. What if it's too late? A tight voice whispered in the cacophony of panic. As the lantern glowed brighter, revealing inscriptions along its sides, worn symbols and messages. Sarah gasped. "Look! There's a clue. Grandpa's legacy," her mother breathed. What lay ahead? The child's transformed laughter echoed in their ears, a chilling reminder that the darkness was more than just a shadow. It was alive, and it wanted to play. Will the truth save them, or will they plunge even deeper into peril? Their time was running out. The light from the lantern pulsed like the last heartbeat of a dying creature, casting eerie shadows that danced against the garage walls. Sarah's heart raced, and she felt an overwhelming surge of panic as the child's form twisted and elongated, eyes now glistening with a malevolence that chilled her to the core. "Sarah! Shine it right there!" her mother urged, pointing at the child. Mrs. Ellison's voice trembled, rippling with a mixture of fear and determination. The lantern flared brighter. Just for a moment, Sarah felt invincible, like she could push through anything with that light. But cracks in the floor began to bloom, spidering outward as the child pulled back, hand clutching its chest as if being constricted by an invisible force. "I don't play fair. You'll pay!" it shrieked, a furious glint flashing in its eyes, each syllable dripped with malice, and from the shadows, dark tendrils reached out, desperate to wrap around them, pulling and tugging with an almost sentient awareness. Sarah felt the hairs on her arms stand on end, and she could taste the metallic tang of fear creeping into her mouth. "Mom, the symbols!" she shouted, spotting the intricate designs on the lantern's surface, glimmering like secrets begging to be deciphered. "What do they mean?" I don't know. We have to keep the light steady." Mrs. Ellison replied, her grip tightening around the wrench. The child lunged forward, this time faster, a creature born of chaos. The garage doors rattled violently, and outside, a storm brewed, echoing the turmoil inside. "Speak the truth. Let it out." Sarah blurted out, recalling the words her grandfather had muttered countless times. "Maybe that's the key." Without waiting for her mother, Sarah focused on the symbols that shimmered beneath the glow. One glyph resembled a stylized sun, warmth and life, but it was accompanied by a crescent moon, shadowed and foreboding. "I am the light," she yelled, channeling every ounce of bravery she had. "This is my family's truth. We are not afraid." The child halted, mouth agape, as if her words struck a chord deep within. "No!" it howled, skin rippling as the shadows writhed violently around it. "You have no power here." Sarah pressed on, conviction driving her. "This curse ends now." To her amazement, the lantern responded, crackling with energy. The light intensified, brighter than any sun, surrounding them with a warm embrace, banishing the encroaching shadows. But the child let out a screech that shook the very foundations of the garage. "You can't escape. You'll always play." Its form twisted, and it began to split, two grotesque figures emerging from one, each one more monstrous than the last. "Mom! What do we do?" Mrs. Ellison's eyes widened in realization. The stories they spoke of a choice. "We have to embrace the truth, Sarah. Accept what we are." "What we are?" Sarah echoed, voice breaking. Before her mother could answer, the dark figures lunged, eyes blazing with fury. Moments stretched out like an eternal scream. "Remember who we are," Mrs. Ellison cried. "Our strength. Our legacy." The ground cut deeper in a wrenching twist as the symbols glowed brighter still, and Sarah stiffened, filled with a fierce resolve. With clenched fists around the lantern, she shouted defiantly, "I am brave. We'll break this curse." Something shifted, the shadows recoiled, the child's laugh mutating into a desperate wail. For the first time, fear flickered in its eyes, revealing cracks in its sinister facade. "We must be honest. It's our truth that sets us free," Sarah yelled, thrusting the lantern forward with all her might. Suddenly, a chilling silence fell around them. The child halted, a pained look glimmering across its face before it shrieked one last time, "You'll regret this." And then, the darkness imploded, darkness swirling inward, a cyclone threatening to consume everything. The lantern trembled in Sarah's grip, demanding her focus. What truth awaited them just beyond the blinding light? In that instant, the ground beneath their feet shattered, revealing a blinding white abyss, spiraling upward. "Sarah. Stay with me." As Mrs. Ellison's voice echoed into the void, Sarah felt her pulse quicken dangerously. Would they be swallowed by the shadows, or would they embrace the light, daring to confront the family legacy that lingered ominously just out of reach? But the moment had come, and the choice would manifest in ways neither of them could foresee. What awaited them on the other side? The brilliant light enveloped them, a blinding flash that momentarily obliterated the chaos surrounding the garage. As it subsided, Sarah blinked against the brightness, and her heart sank. The air was thick like fog, swirling shadows refusing to relent. "Where are we?" Sarah gasped, scanning their new surroundings. The garage was gone. Instead, they stood on a barren landscape, the ground crackling underfoot, looking like shattered glass, reflecting strange colors that flickered like a dying flame. Beside her, her mom gripped the lantern like a lifeline, eyes wide and darting. We shouldn't let go of the light, Sarah." The swirling darkness began to coalesce into figures, more formed and menacing now. They loomed closer, their laughter echoing ominously across the void. Each laugh sent chills down her spine, twisting into something almost maddening. It was the sound of childhood innocence warped into something sinister. "Look!" Sarah pointed at the figures merging from the shadows. "It's the child. But it's different." The child's form had shifted yet again. No longer twisted and elongated, it appeared as a ghostly silhouette of a young girl, her features obscured by the darkness around her. But Sarah could see the anger in her eyes, flames licking at the edges. "Your truth means nothing." The girl howled, and the ground quaked beneath them. "You think you can erase me? We're not here to erase you," Mrs. Ellison shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. "We're here to face our past, to confront what you represent." As her mother spoke, Sarah felt a weight lifting off her chest. "We'll remember. We'll understand," she cried, taking a cautious step forward. "We won't run from the truth anymore." The girl recoiled, the shadows around her flickering uneasily. For a moment, doubt rippled through the dark, like a candle struggling against a storm. "You're just like the others. You think you can change everything." "No." Sarah's voice sounded like thunder, filling the emptiness. "We aren't afraid. Our family has carried this burden for years, but it ends here. Your pain is a part of us, and we accept it. The lantern pulsed with energy, as if reacting to her conviction. Light exploded from within, illuminating their surroundings almost blindingly. The darkness hissed at the intrusion, curling backward like a wounded animal. You cannot banish me. The girl screamed. You will be trapped here, forever spiraling in your own lies. Her laughter shattered the air. You think you can be free? There is a price to pay, don't you see? The curse isn't just about the fear, it's your rejection of it. Sarah's mind raced. The legends her grandfather whispered came rushing back. The curse is a reflection. She shouted. It feeds off our fear. If we embrace it, both the good and the bad, we can take back control. Mrs. Ellison stepped beside her, holding the lantern high, bathed in its glow. We are not ashamed. Our lineage made us strong. We are the Ellisons, and we can choose our own path. There was a moment of tense silence, and then, without warning, the darkness surged forward, engulfing them both. The air crackled as tendrils of shadow reached for Sarah and her mother, winding around their legs like snakes. Make your choice. The child's voice boomed, now echoing with a power that shook Sarah to her core. As the dark overwhelmed her senses, Sarah screamed, We choose to stand united. The darkness recoiled, momentarily lost in confusion, and for a fleeting second, she thought she could see the child, just a scared little girl longing for nothing more than acceptance. Then an explosion of light erupted from the lantern, consuming everything as it connected with the shadows. Sarah felt herself being pulled back, caught between realms, craving the warmth of the light, yet fearful of what the darkness might reveal. Suddenly, the world shifted, the swirling darkness collapsing into a single point. What are we truly capable of? Echoed through her mind as she lost her grip on the ground, and then, nothing. The silence was deafening. Where had they gone? What lay on the other side of this ominous void? Sarah felt a pulse beneath her feet as the lantern flickered weakly in her hands, the energy fading fast. Was this the end, or merely a new beginning? In that moment of uncertainty, she heard a whisper on the wind, be ready for what comes next. What awaited them now in this uncharted darkness? At first, all Sarah felt was weightlessness, as if every burden had been stripped from her being. But then reality came crashing back, the sensation like a tidal wave. She landed hard on what felt like soft earth, and the air around her was cold, biting at her skin. Mom! She shouted, her voice tearing through the stillness. Panic surged inside her, igniting a spark of adrenaline. She pushed herself up, scanning the area for any sign of Mrs. Ellison. Darkness shrouded this place, but the dim glow of the lantern flickered ahead. Taking a sharp breath, Sarah stumbled toward it, each step heavy with dread. Sarah! Her mother's voice, strained but clear, sent relief flooding through her. She turned to see Mrs. Ellison crouched beside the lantern, desperately trying to coax the light back to life. It keeps fading. I don't know how much time we have. Her mom's hands trembled as she twisted the lantern's base, but the light sputtered weakly, like a candle in the grip of a gale. We have to do something. We can't let the darkness win. Sarah felt the shadows pressing against them, creeping like vines ready to suffocate. You feel it too, don't you? Her mother's eyes widened. The weight of fear and regret, they're stronger here. And then it hit Sarah like a brick. This was a battlefield, not of fists or words, but of emotions. They weren't just here to confront the child, they had to face their own ghosts. This is our curse. She exclaimed, realization stinging her lips. Our fear, everything we've run from, it's here. Yes. Mrs. Ellison nodded, her expression fierce and determined. But turning back isn't an option. We need to face it, we need to embrace it. As they spoke, the shadows began swirling more violently, forming indistinct shapes, whispering her name. A familiar voice echoed through the darkness, Sarah, Sarah, you should have never come here. Her heart raced. Lily. Foolish girl. The shadow of a young woman stepped forward, eyes burning with rage. You don't know what you've unleashed. This place feeds on your sorrow, your guilt. The longer you stay, the more you will drown in your own lines of pain. Shut up. Sarah screamed, clenching her fists. You don't get to control us anymore. She felt the inner strength growing, the current of her family's lineage flowing through her. But doubt continued to creep into her mind, whispering fears she had long buried. Isn't it easier, letting the darkness take over? Don't you want to forget? Lily's voice dripped with deceptive sweetness, pulling at the frayed edges of Sarah's resolve. No. Mrs. Ellison shouted, stepping forward. We are stronger together. We choose to confront this pain, to learn from it. The lantern burst back to life, illuminating their surroundings with a fierce glow. The shadows hissed, retreating as the light banished the darkness. With the energy radiating between them, Sarah reached out, her hand finding her mother's. Together they took a step towards Lily, each heartbeat resonating with defiance. We're not afraid of our past anymore. Sarah exclaimed. We own our truth, and you can't take that away. Lily faltered. For a split second, doubt flickered across her shadowy face, but then it transformed into barely contained fury. Then suffer for your choice. She wailed, the shadows swirling around them charging forward like a tempest. The pressure mounted, the ground beneath them trembled, and the lantern's glow dimmed once more. Just as the shadows were about to engulf them, Sarah's mind raced. Mom! We have to visualize our burdens. Let us show them our hope. Gathering the shimmering light, they began to focus on the memories that rose to the surface: laughter, family gatherings, even moments of heartbreak transformed into lessons. Each memory ignited the lantern's light, pushing against the suffocating dark. The shadows writhed in agony, and suddenly, Sarah felt a jolt. It was as if she had taken a deep breath filled with forgiveness. Embrace it. She shouted to the darkness. Love, loss, truth and fear, they are all part of us. But then, a sharp crack echoed in the air. You think you can defeat me? Lily shrieked, her voice splintering under the weight of their joined light. This is just the beginning. The light burst forth one last time, threatening to propel them into an unknown realm. Just before they could be swallowed by the brilliance, Sarah dared to glimpse back, watching the shadows contort and dissolve in on themselves. Sarah! Hold on! Her mother cried, the force of the light tugging them upward. In that moment suspended between realms, a terrible question lingered in the air. Did freedom come with a hidden cost? The darkness hissed its last breath, and everything faded into blinding white. What powerful secret lay in the heart of their next destination? The white light enveloped them, a thick mist swirling with tendrils of emotion. Heartbeats drummed in Sarah's ears, each thud echoing her frantic thoughts. Was this escape or a deeper plunge into the unknown? The brightness faded slowly, revealing a new landscape: a dense forest, eerily quiet except for the rustle of leaves whispering secrets. A chill crawled up Sarah's spine as she looked around, gnarly branches loomed like twisted fingers reaching for her. The air was thick, suffocating in its stillness. Mom! She called, anxiety constricting her throat. Right here. Mrs. Ellison replied, emerging from the haze beside her with a face pale with worry. But where are we? Sarah scanned the woods, her heart racing. It feels haunted, she admitted. A sudden howl echoed through the trees, sending a shiver down her spine. Dark shadows loomed, shuffling and shifting just beyond her line of sight. Fear tightened like a vice around her chest. Do you think this is another trick? Another game by the shadow? Sarah asked, her voice betraying a tremor. Mrs. Ellison clenched her jaw, determination sparking in her eyes. If we are here, it's for a reason. We must remember, we need to face whatever it is from our past that brought us here. With that, Sarah felt the urge to move. They needed to find a way out, but the deeper they pushed into the forest, the more the shadows seemed to pulse with life, luring them into the trees with a seductive promise. "Follow me," she urged, a sudden burst of courage fueling her steps. Each crackle of leaves beneath their feet reverberated in her mind, like a warning echoing back at them. Deeper into the woods, Sarah's mind whirled with memories, the sweetness of birthday cake, laughter around the dinner table, but also heavy moments that clouded her heart. She could feel the shadows tightening around the past memories of loss, regrets she hadn't reconciled yet. "Sarah!" Her mother's voice pulled her back, interrupting the spiral. "Do you feel that?" "Something's different," Mrs. Ellison whispered, a hint of dread creeping into her tone. Ahead, a twisted figure appeared in the fog, its face obscured. Hollow eyes shimmered, glancing toward them as if recognizing scarred souls. "You have returned," it murmured, voice trembling with cold, unearthly energy. Terror gripped Sarah. "Who are you?" she demanded, gathering her courage, heart hammering wildly against her ribcage. "I am a piece of your past," the figure replied, the shadows clinging to it like a shroud. "And I'm here to guide you through your pain, to reveal the truth of your curse." "Curse?" Mrs. Ellison echoed. "What curse?" "The birthday curse," it whispered, shadows dancing around its spectral frame. "It only reveals itself at 16, the truth of what you must confront." Suddenly, memories flooded back, sharper than ever: her birthday party last year, the odd stares, the hushed conversations, her own mind's confusion. The sense of being watched, the feeling that something wasn't right. "You need to confront it here, in this darkness," the figure continued, extending a ghostly hand toward them. Fear gripped Sarah harder now. Was it offering salvation or damnation? Every instinct told her to reject it, to turn and run. But she felt the pulse of her mother's hand gripping hers. "Together. We face it together," Mrs. Ellison urged, standing taller. Before Sarah could speak, the figure let out a chilling laugh, an echoing sound that twisted her stomach. "Together? Careful, some truths may tear you apart." As the echoes of laughter dissolved into the air, the forest began to close in, branches snapping, shadows swirling violently. Sarah's heart sank. "What did we unleash?" she whispered, despair creeping into her voice. The shadows tightened, and a chilling clarity formed. Was this a new or the final reckoning? "Are you ready to face the truth?" the figure asked, a challenge glimmering in its hollow eyes. A question without an answer hung thick in the air. Would they confront their fears, or would the curse claim them both? As Sarah and her mother stood at the precipice of knowledge, a deafening silence swallowed the forest. What awaited them in the unveiling truth? The woods around them pulsed with an energy that felt alive, drawing Sarah and her mother deeper into a realm they never imagined would intertwine with their reality. The chilling figure loomed closer, its hollow eyes piercing through the darkness. "This is your chance," it whispered, voice echoing with haunting familiarity. "Face your truth, or remain forever ensnared in the shadows of your past. Tell me what I need to confront." Sarah shouted, her patience frayed. She felt fury and fear coiling together tightly in her chest. "We're not afraid of you." The figure smiled, but it was more a grimace than anything joyful. "Oh, but fear is a powerful weapon. It binds you to this curse. You must reconcile the love and regret that haunt your hearts." A heavy silence fell. "Mom," Sarah said softly, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down, "this has to do with our family, doesn't it? Something we've been avoiding." Mrs. Ellison's face tightened as realization dawned. "The stories, the losses, it made us feel as if we couldn't celebrate anymore. It's like we've carried the burden of our family's pain." A gust of wind whipped through the trees, swirling leaves around them, an unseen force pushing against their backs, urging them to move forward. "You think you can honor those you lost by hiding? Fight or submit," the figure demanded, a sharp edge to its voice. Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward. "We choose to honor them. We choose to remember. We won't allow this curse to hold our hearts captive." With those words, a rush of energy surged through her, and she felt her mother's hand squeeze tightly around hers. Together, Mrs. Ellison echoed fiercely. We honor our past but choose our future. The figure's demeanor shifted, an almost imperceptible flicker of respect dawning in its shadowy expression. Then confront your love and regret, show me the memories that have kept you shackled. Suddenly, the surroundings morphed, a familiar scene unfurling before them like a film breaking the bounds of time. They stood in a sunlit backyard, vibrant with laughter and the aroma of birthday cake. Sarah's last birthday party played out like a bittersweet melody. Relatives gathered, everything seemed cheerful, but beneath the surface, shadows waited. See? Sarah whispered, tears welling. This was last year, but it wasn't just joy. I sensed something wrong. Why didn't I catch it? Because you were afraid to. Her mother's voice was soft and filled with understanding, as they watched their past unfold. The sweet laughter shifted into hushed whispers, conversations tinged with concern about the Ellison family, about curses and tragedies. She could see the worried glances exchanged amongst the adults. Sarah could almost hear her own voice as she begged her family to stop. Enough. You're scaring me, don't talk about this. The tension swirled around them as if time had folded in upon itself, dragging the echoes of guilt and sadness back into focus. Do you see? The shadowy figure urged. Your pain is real. You buried it, thinking it would protect you, but in doing so, you embraced its power over you. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Sarah cried out, wanting desperately to tear free from the hold of the past. Then face it. The figure commanded. Honor them, accept your sorrow, embrace your truth. Let it free you. And in that moment, an epiphany unfurled. Sarah realized she had feelings to express, tears to cry. We lost Uncle Jimmy, and I never even got to say goodbye, she said, feeling raw pain, every word an uncoiling knot. We lost Grandma Clara and her stories. I wanted to celebrate my birthday, but I felt tethered to sadness instead. Her mother joined in, voice rising over the noise of the shadows. We never truly grieved. I was so lost in trying to protect you, Sarah, that I forgot how to face my own pain. The air thickened with emotion, shadows beginning to retreat as luminosity pulsed from them. They amplified their voices together, beckoning the light, declaring their resolve. We remember you. We love you. We honor the pain, but we will not be consumed by it. For a moment, the figure faltered, its features flickering between agony and relief. The shadows swirled harder, clawing against the burgeoning light. You think you can escape? It screeched. No. They cried together. We will not run. You are part of us, but you will not control us. And just like that, the lantern flared into a brilliant beacon. A brilliant energy resonated with every memory they embraced, laughter, regret, love, all coalescing into something powerful. Together, they pushed against the darkness and the shadows writhed, shrieking in anger and retreating. One final wave surged, a flash of light erupting from the lantern, swirling around the figure, and with a scream that echoed through the shadows, it shattered into particles of light, scattering into the night. As silence enveloped them, they stood, breathless, in a new dawn, a landscape filled with light. They could feel the warmth on their skin, the burdens lifting. We did it, Sarah whispered, tears spilling freely now. Now we will celebrate the lives lost, not bury them in the dark, Mrs. Ellison said warmly, pulling her daughter into a tight embrace. They stood together, united against the remnants of fear and shadow. A new promise glimmered in the horizon as the sunlight broke through the trees, illuminating their path forward. Together, we face everything, Sarah said softly. And we will never forget. As the sun beamed down, breathing life into their surroundings, it heralded a future where love and acceptance reigned, one that would never forget, yet find strength in every struggle. The past had shaped them, but it wouldn't define them any longer. As the darkness winked away, their journey could begin anew. Now, it's your turn. If you've loved this journey, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us thriving. Flood the comments below with your theories and reactions about this gripping ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Your support means the world and keeps this community alive.